Peace, peace. What's up, everybody? Peace, peace. Come on and hop in. What's going on, everybody? All right. We got some heavy stuff to kind of talk about today. I won't say heavy. I'll say important. I won't say heavy. We won't say it's heavy. But we definitely gonna get into some things today. Not gonna hold y'all too long. But we're gonna talk about some things. We are definitely gonna talk about some things. So give it a couple more minutes and let a few people kind of hop up on the live. All right, so give me a minute. Peace, peace. What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm gonna hold all invitations. Anybody that might want to come and join on the live. I got a couple of requests. I'm gonna kind of hold off for a minute, kind of get my topic off a little bit before we get into that. So, peace. How you doing? Buenos dias. So, depending on where you are, some of us might have got some bad weather. So, I'm hoping that all of you are nice and safe and warm. So, I'm in Georgia, and we didn't get as much as they said. I'm glad about that. I'm not upset at all. You know, I know some people probably went out and went overboard, right? But, it's as to be expected. And pardon me, I got a little sniffles this morning. But I wanted to come on. I got some important things to talk about. As a matter of fact, I'm probably gonna be in y'all face a whole lot more now that I've worked through some things and got some things together like I want. So now, if you've been watching, I haven't put out as much newer content as of late, right? I've been doing the movie list and the TV show list, of course. But the more in-depth content, I haven't been doing as much. But what I have been doing, I've been talking specifically about visibility. And this is purposefully, right? Because of what I'm getting into. And what I'm noticing a lot of people struggling with. And I personally went through this myself as well. So, me being able to see it and to recognize it, I wanted to put something specifically together for certain individuals, those of us who may rely more heavily on our creative energy to further advance the things we want to do in our life. So whether you're a content creator, whether you are you make digital products, whether you provide a service, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you do sales, whether you're in a career that has to do with your performance or what have you, but anything that has to do with your energy. This is real energy work. So before I really go heavily, more deeply into it, I've been talking about the visibility code. And so if you've noticed that, I noticed that, well, a lot of you are realizing when it comes to being seen, visibility, it's not about algorithms or confidence or any of those things. What it's more about is safety. So if you don't know, this is real important for you to know, okay? It has a lot to do with safety and how safe you feel. Now, what I've been breaking down lately is why people who may know what to do, right? So if you're in this position, you've done this mindset thing, you do your affirmations and all of that type of thing, you know what to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it consistently. Or maybe if when things start to work out, you see a little bit of success, you start to pull back, right? Um, that's your nervous system, right? That's your nervous system. And the visibility code is where we unpack that. Okay. So it's not a course about content. It's not that at all. Okay. What it is it's about removing the internal blocks that make being seen feel unsafe so that your body or your system stops shutting down when momentum starts, because it's self-sabotage, as we find ourselves saying. But is it really self-sabotage? Because when you really understand, you realize that it's not particularly self-sabotage. What's really happening is just your body trying to protect you in the best way that it knows how. And I'm going to talk about that more as we go, but I want you to listen to this live through that particular lens. Okay? All right, so I want to be clear about why I'm even talking about visibility, right? What it even means, because this is not about social media. Now, it applies because, of course, being seen more on social media is something that a lot of people want, but that comes as a byproduct of just dealing with yourself. That comes with a byproduct of removing that energy blockage. So when we talk about visibility, it's the pressure point where all of your unhealed patterns show up. So all the things that's buried deep shows up when we talking about visibility. Shows up when you're exposed, because visibility is a means of exposure. And if you don't address visibility at the nervous system level, then you will keep repeating them same cycles all throughout different areas of your life. Okay, so that's particularly why I'm talking about this and why it matters. Okay, because visibility is about whether your system believes it's safe to exist publicly without self-betrayal. I'm going to say that one more time. Okay, visibility is about whether your system believes it's safe to exist publicly without self-betrayal. That's why people will ghost their own goals. And that's why momentum can trigger anxiety instead of excitement. This is why you'll see people who amass a huge amount of success suddenly start to develop anxiety problems. Or this is why people who are real successful, who have a lot of exposure, deal with a lot of anxiety issues. It's because of the cost and what that is going to bring out of you. Okay, because visibility or being seen or exposure isn't optional if you truly want freedom. It's not optional, because hiding is a survival strategy. It's not a personality trait. We've talked about that. So being able to disappear is a form of protection. Okay, because maybe you came up in an environment that punished you for taking up your space. See, that's deep, that's heavy, but those are the type of things you really have to truly address if you really want to deal with these type of things. And if we being honest, most people don't want to deal with those type of things. Most people want to bury it. They want to ignore it. They want to numb it. People don't want to deal with it. But if you find yourself having a lot of issues in your life, not being able to get to the places that you want to be, it's because of those blockages. It's because of those beliefs that's holding you back. So let's really get into this conversation, okay? Now, anybody got any questions before we get into this a little bit more? We got any more questions before I really get deeper into this conversation? Make sure that you like it. Make sure that you share it. If you find that this will be helpful for somebody, send it live to them. Like and share the live. Like and share the live. All right, so visibility. Again, we're going to talk about visibility, and I'm going to be on y'all neck about this because it's important, because we need to understand this from a psychological and an energetic perspective. So let's treat visibility like what it really is. Not a social media concept. We're not doing that. Let's talk about this in a real way. Okay? We're not talking about it as a social media concept. We're talking about visibility as a spiritual technology. as a spiritual technology. So this is a powerful conversation. All right. So visibility and what it really is, beyond algorithms, beyond just getting attention, because we live in a world, we live in a society where, because of social media, because of the way social media is, and because people can get a bag off of social media, we got a lot of people that just say any damn thing just to go viral nowadays. And it's annoying. I mean, at least to me, it can be annoying, right? Because you get less originality. You get people wanting to copy every damn thing because they saw it work for somebody else. You see people you see a lot more rage baiting, so much more just clickbait, just so much more emphasis around triggering people versus really trying to inform people or really trying to help people. Everything now that's being pushed to the front is just about making money. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. That's the society that we live in, right? So when most people think about visibility, when they think about being seen, when they think about virality or going viral, right, it brings to mind having more followers, getting more likes, having more engagement, or more people just knowing who you are, people recognizing who you are, right? Now, that is actually a symptom and not the root. That's a byproduct. That's a byproduct of true visibility, right? That's what comes with it. That's not what it actually is. It's just something that comes along with it. So I want you to understand visibility like this, okay? It's the state of yourself being held in the field of others without you abandoning, distorting, or fragmenting yourself. Or, in other words, just betraying yourself. How well can you be exposed, be in the spotlight, and not abandon who you are? That is what visibility truly is. That's what truly powers visibility. See, a lot of people don't do that. See, a lot of people perform. They do what they think people want them to do. They say what they think people want them to say. I understand this. I've worked through this. I've been doing this online social media thing for 10 years. Y'all haven't known me for 10 years. There's a lot of things that I had to work through over the course of those 10 years if this shit was going to work out for me. There's things I'm still working through even after 10 years because it's heavily, deeply rooted in your own wounds, your own self-inflicted wounds, because visibility is a mirror. It acts as a mirror in a sense. So psychologically speaking, right? It's when your nervous system and your identity stays online while you are being watched or exposed or witnessed or evaluated or mirrored back or even judged, because people are going to judge you. This is why most people don't put content or won't post the video that they want to post, because they are afraid of who's going to judge them. Now, if you are a person who wants to create content online, establish a following, and do all of that type of thing, I'm going to tell you right now, do not do that just don't do it from a regular profile that's connected to everybody you've always known, because that shit is not going to work. And it's going to be very discouraging, because people have this habit of seeing you how they've always seen you. Okay? Now, people ask me all the time, how did I manage to grow my Instagram with the content that I post? And I said, well, if I'm going to be honest, the page really started to grow when I made a completely just a new page, and I didn't follow nobody that I knew. I just started to post the content I wanted to post, and it drew everybody to me based on what I was posting. So I didn't seek the people that I knew. I didn't seek them people to support my page, because they hadn't been supporting it in all them years, and they're not gonna support it, and it ain't their fault, and you have to let that go. And you can't continue to expect them people to support you, because they not. Because what you have to realize is, when we have relationships with people, especially people we've been on all our lives, right? Since we might have been playing with somebody in the sandbox, we have very subtle, energetic, contractual agreements with everybody that we make consistent exchanges with. And within those energetic contracts is where it's established in who and what you are expected to be within that interaction. It's not stated with no words. It is within your energy. It's in your energy field. Because energies are going to interact before you even say anything to anybody. Energy is going to speak first. Your energy field is going to interact first. Okay? Because it's bigger than you. Your energy field is going to enter a space before you truly get to that space. Okay? So, people, especially people you've known all your life, have contractually agreed to who and what you are within this partnership, within this relationship. So if you have established or determined in your mind, you've had an awakening, you want to move on to do other things, right? That is not what's in that contractual agreement with them people that you're dealing with. They're not going to allow you to be this person that you want to be now. You're not allowed to be that. This is why sometimes no matter who people are, when you come around them, no matter how much time has passed, you might find yourself collapsing into this person you used to be when you interact with these people. And it's because of these contractual agreements. So with some people, it's some people in your life that does not allow you to fucking shine. Okay? Listen to what I'm telling you. There are some people in your life that don't want you to be better than what you are. Okay? There are some people in your life that are purposely going to hold you back because it's going to break you outside. It's going to push you outside that contractual agreement that they got with you. This is why people be saying, who are the people you're around? You want to be around people that's in a better position than you. Because you want that energy to pull you. It's like string theory. But if you keep dealing with motherfuckers who constantly put you in a box and want you to stay there, it's like going up a hill. It's like going up you're going against a lot of resistance. And sometimes you have to accept that you're going to have to leave some of those people behind. It's going to hurt like hell. It's going to be hard. It might take you an extensive amount of time to truly be able to do it. It's been years, and it's still some people I still find it so hard to let go. Because you know that elevation is going to require that separation. That shit alone can be enough for you to sabotage everything you're trying to build, because we don't understand how important belonging can be to the human psyche. We don't want to be outcast. We don't want to be exiled. We don't want to be rejected. And it's normal. It's okay. You a human person. It's okay that you feel this shit. I know you don't want to feel it. I get it. I understand. I don't want to feel it either. I hate it at the same time too. But it's what makes it. You can't numb that. You can't push that down. You can't distract yourself away from it. Because when you do that, you just running from yourself. You just distracting yourself. You just prolonging the inevitable, and you gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer from it. Understand, people suffer due to lack of knowledge. That's it. Due to lack of knowledge. And if you refuse to want to accept them truths, you're going to continue to suffer. It's like going around and around and around and around. You repeating. Because until you decide you ready, until you are decide that you can let those things go, let them contracts go, because it's not allowing you to expand. You under too many contracts that forces you to collapse into this identity of a motherfucker you don't want to be no more. You don't want to be that no more. You understand what I'm saying? So look, let's get more into this shit. Let's go back. Okay? Because visibility is being seen is a whole lot more than followers. It's more than likes. Now, this can happen. Sometimes there's portals that happen and things, we get a glimpse. We get a glimpse of a future and we can see how opportunity can take us somewhere. And sometimes that shit gets scary like hell. But it gets scary because of these things, because of the belonging, because of the not knowing if I'm going to be safe. Because you were never able to fully be able to be yourself and be safe before. You understand? It's just your body. It's just your body's way of trying to protect you. It's just trying to protect you. So you have to relearn. You have to reteach. You have to rewire your body to understand that it's safe. See, you are now an adult and you have the ability to take autonomy and authority over your body, over yourself. You don't have to allow that shadow self to keep doing that for you no more. Because it's going to keep running you in a loop. Now, you've outgrown this loop. It's time for you to move on to something else. All right? So, remember, now I'm going to say this again. Visibility is the state of yourself being held in the field of others, okay? In the field of others without you abandoning, distorting, or fragmenting yourself. Can you truly be yourself under the brightest of fucking lights? That's what it means. That's what it means. So when you want to water your shit down, right? When you want to try and dance something up so it can be received better, you playing. You playing. Because you still afraid of truly being seen. I get it though. We come up in some fucked up environments and situations, but we got to remember. We have to remember. Them people that brought us up, they didn't really know no better. Now, it's not to excuse what they did or how they may have mishandled us, right? It's not to excuse it, but it's for the sake for you to be able to let it go so you can move forward, because that shit is holding you back. There's no reason for things that inhibited you at 7 years old to still be inhibiting you at 27, 30, 35, 40 years old. You gotta do something different. You have to make a change. That's the only way it's going to change. Okay? So psychologically, what happens is with visibility, it's your nervous system and your identity both staying online while you're being witnessed, while you're being watched, while you're being exposed, while you're being evaluated, while you are being judged, because that's what comes with exposure. So if you can't stand firm in your identity and who you are, you're going to fold and collapse every time, and you're not going to be able to handle it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, energetically, it's your aura field and your soul signature being broadcast out to the collective. But if you're not in alignment with yourself, you got a distorted ass signal. You understand? See, this is why people who overgive always attract narcissist motherfuckers. This is why y'all attract them, because you overgiving. So that's the signal you sending out. You sending out this signal that she don't know what she doing. That bitch just giving it out. That's what that means. You just giving your energy out. Your shit just leaking. So you gonna attract all the people that's gonna eat. It's like being in shark infested waters. Shark can smell blood miles away. They can smell your ass miles away. Now you pray. Now they preying on you. Now they manipulating you. Now they using you because you don't know how to stand firm in who you are. You afraid of being seen. You got to heal that. Because it's not just about your business. This should affect your relationships. It's going to affect your money. It's going to affect your health. It's going to affect you on so many different levels. Because visibility is not just being seen. It's being seen and being able to remain yourself. Because what are you saying to yourself if the minute you get seen, you don't want nobody to see who you really are? So what are you saying to yourself? What does this say to your soul? This is ultimate soul betrayal. That's soul betrayal. You came here to be who you are. And the minute you get the light on you, you don't know how to be who you are no more. Now you want to be somebody else Now you want to be who everybody tell you who you supposed to be. That's the issue. That's the issue. So you can't when you quiet yourself, when you shrink yourself, you have a visibility wound. So you hide and make you feel safe. And then you wonder why shit ain't working out. You wonder why you're not being seen at the job, why you're not getting the promotion. Or you wonder why you're not getting the sales or why you're not getting the views, because you don't want to be seen. You too afraid to be wrong in the spotlight. Or you too afraid of what people gonna think about you. So you give those people autonomy over you. They have the authority over you because you more concerned about what the fuck they think. This shit is spiritual technology. You understand? So understand visibility is a mirror. So being visible is, am I allowing myself to exist inside of other people's perception? Because what happens is it's going to trigger some things in you, some shit that's deep. See, the things I talk about is uncomfortable. This not comfortable shit. This not a pleasurable experience facing yourself. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. So when you become visible, it's going to do a few things internally. It's going to activate those old attachment patterns. Are they going to approve? Are they going to reject me? Or, will they abandon me? Will they shame me for what I think, for what I feel? Are they going to ignore me? And it activates that internalized audience, right? That's your parents, your peers, your teachers, your friends, your exes, your neighbors, your boss. The voices that you have absorbed is your inner critic. All them people's perceptions or ideas is now your inner critic. That visibility is going to challenge your self-concept. Can I still hold my truth if somebody disagree with me? Or if somebody misunderstands me? Or if somebody disapproves of me? And some people going to carry more weight. Some people going to carry more weight. Unfortunately. So visibility is not just showing up online. It's your nervous system standing in front of a collective mirror and asking, who am I when somebody else is looking? Can I be myself? Can I truly be myself? That determines how visible you are. That's how your magnet works. That's how you magnetize people to you. So, you got to understand visibility as a nervous system event. Psychologically, your body reads visibility like exposure. So just imagine if you're in a room, nobody can see what you're doing in the room. And then there's this bright light. And now nothing you do in the room cannot not be seen. That's uncomfortable for a lot of people. That's why people don't like to get on camera. So if you a person that want to do content, but you struggle just getting on the camera, you have a visibility wound. So, because understand, you have a survival brain. And if that survival brain kicks in, that exposure to that survival brain can mean I might get attacked, right? Because that's what happens online, right? People attack you for what you think or whatever. People disagree with you, right? I might get exiled or I might get humiliated. So your system will respond with fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So what does that look like online then? Well, fighting is arguing in the comments, right? Going back and forth in the comments, The defensiveness, needing to prove yourself right. You give up your authority every time you feel the need to prove yourself to a random person. On top of that, you abandoning your own authority. What does flight look like? Well, that's procrastinating, starting something but not or disappearing, starting it, leaving it behind, changing what you're doing constantly, doing one thing, then next thing you know, you're doing another. That's the flight pattern, right? That's the what about freeze? Freeze is the camera paralysis, not wanting to be able to get in front of the camera, right? Or being blank. I don't know what I'm gonna say on the camera. I don't know what to say. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't have the words. I don't know. That's freezing. What's fawning? That's over explaining, over giving, overdoing, people pleasing, right? Trying to soften your message up, trying to water it down, trying to make it more digestible. That's fawning. So a lot of content blocks are really just your nervous system not having learned how to stay present while being seen. So you gotta understand that and know that, because visibility also exposes how integrated or fragmented your identity truly is. Because most people carry multiple selves. And we seen this. Especially we learned this shit growing up. How? You out to the grocery store and you notice your mama started talking to somebody she know from somewhere, completely different person than she is at home. That's how we learn it. We're multiple selves. The self we are at home, the self we are at work, the self we are in public, the self we become when we get in survival mode, the self that we secretly wish we could be. There's different versions of the self. So when you become visible, these selves collide. Y'all seen what's it? Anywhere, anything, everywhere, anything, all at once. Y'all seen that shit, right? So the multiple cells start to collide. So psychologically, what you asking is, can I let the real me be seen? Can I not perform? Because the minute you put in the performance, it's not authentic. The minute you do it, it's performative. That's why there's so many things I don't like to do online. It's performative. It would make for great content, but it's performative. You know? So, or you asking, do I send a mask out to perform while my true self hides behind the scene? Now, I will admit, it's not all bad wearing a mask, but you have to at least know when you putting a mask on. You have to know it for you, But most people wear a mask, they don't realize, acknowledge that it's a mask. They don't know it's a mask. They literally become the mask. They think they are the mask. So, how much of who you are can you allow to exist in front of other people without collapsing, without masking, without running? That's the real question. I find myself doing this all the time. So I always tell people, I'm being open, or I'm just speaking, genuinely just speaking freelance. More, I curse more. You can tell. If I'm not cursing, I probably wrote that shit before I said it. Now, it's not a bad thing, but it's me purposefully, using my intention of saying, hey, I want to make a video specifically about this, and I want to touch on these particular points. But you gotta make sure still that you give yourself. You give of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Your real self, your true self. So when let's look at it think of it like a broadcast, like a frequency. Think about frequency, right? So energetically, you're never just posting. You're casting a signal, right? You're emanating a frequency from your own aura. You are transmitting your soul's data, be it your beliefs, your wounds, your desires, your powers, right? People don't just respond to your words or your branding or your images. They respond to your coherence. They respond to your frequency. You know what I'm saying? Or inconsistencies or incoherences. Because a person can tell when you don't got your shit together. It's in your energy. If you trying to convince them, if you haven't convinced yourself, they can tell. You know, this is why a con man is a con man. That's why it's called a con man. A con man, right? You think about the word con or the prefix con. Think about confidence, right? Think about contract. Think about con. So a con man, or as good as a con man may be, depends on his confidence. It depends on how well he can sell you into the belief of what it is that he doing. His belief, his or her belief is so high in what they are doing. It's really just a sense of them, their energy beating out yours. It's really what it is. They just know how to stand firmer in what it is that they doing, that they're approaching. And people, depending on your energy, you could be more likely to attract a scammy motherfucker because of your energy. Because if you yourself is leaking your energy, if you already giving your power away, like I said before, with sharks in water, you're going to attract the sharks. That's what you're going to attract. That's what you're going to attract. People don't just respond to your words. Like I said, it's about your energy. So does your aura say, don't look too deeply? See, I know this used to be my thing. My thing was I always felt like I got to study more. I need to study more. I got to study more. I need to know more. I have to know more. So, because in my mind, exposure, I didn't want exposure in a sense I didn't want to be wrong in the light. I didn't want to be wrong. That was my issue. I don't want to be wrong. And it took me a long time to realize that was the root of it. Oh shit, I just don't want to be wrong in public. I just don't want nobody to see me get some shit wrong. But hell, that's the only way you're going to learn. The only way you're going to learn is if you wrong. So what is it that you really want? Which one is it? Because really, that's just a wound anyway telling you that you can't be wrong. That's just some deeper shit. That's some other shit. You see what I'm saying? There's some other shit. Hold on, y'all. I don't want to forget to send that message. So yeah, that was my thing. My thing was always about being wrong, man, or making a mistake. And I realized I am a Virgo. I have strong Virgo tendencies. See, the way I look at it, I use everything like a tool to help me read into energy. And I was like, oh, so I get that perfection, this energy now. So I get why I can put off shit so long and saying, oh, well, I'm trying to perfect it. I'm trying to get it right. I want to get it right. No, not really. The whole truth is I don't feel safe doing this shit. I was worrying about being exiled. I was worrying about being cast out. Like, my family don't fuck with this. They Christian people. Me talking like this, they gonna cast me out. They not gonna accept me. What are they gonna think about me saying all this? I went through all this. I went through all these emotions. I understand. And for many people, being seen while wrong, you gotta understand what that might mean historically, because it's shit in your genes and shit genetically or from epigenetics from generations before you that you dealing with it. You don't even know why you dealing with it. It might be something from 5-6 generations ago that's still affecting your bloodline, but you just have the awareness to see it and to break it. So that being wrong might be humiliation. It might be loss of belonging. Hell, maybe somebody made fun of you, or maybe I felt like somebody made fun of me when I was younger, and I don't want to feel like that no more. I don't want nobody to make fun of me, or maybe I'm worried about being punished. If you grew up in an instance where you couldn't do certain shit, you got punished for it, that instillment of fear is still there. That wound is still there. So your body has learned it. So in learning it, it learned a rule, and what it learned is if I'm visible and I'm wrong or I'm incorrect, then I'm not safe. Remind you, these wounds happened when we was little kids, man. We was children. We were children. So as adults, you have to go back and you have to correct it. You know what I'm saying? Because in early life, visibility was tied to attachment. So if a child experienced things like being corrected publicly, right? Or being laughed at for misunderstandings, or maybe being shamed for asking her questions or for suggesting certain things, or maybe being told, you doing too much, you too dramatic, you too much, or maybe their curiosity was punished instead of they were guided or rewarded for being curious. Either way it goes, that nervous system took record of it. It stored that record. So in it storing that record, you have to be able to work through them energetic blockages. You understand what I'm saying? So their wrongness register as rejection. But like I said, you was a child, man. You was a little bitty child. So the visibility code, I made this this visibility code which addresses all of these things. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. I have not looked at these comments. My bad. But I have to do that because I've learned that, they can kind of throw me off. So me and my own sense of visibility, that's me understanding my own self. So let's see. This life is a giant classroom. What we attract also is to mirror to us how we can adjust our frequencies and vibrations to get more aligned. Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely would agree with that. It's a lot of people that don't care what they say. Oh, love you too, Yellow Mellow. I appreciate you for being in the comments. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Somebody was asking, how do you fix that? Oh, well, it depends though, because nobody is the same. We're not all the same. We're not all affected by this the same way. You see what I'm saying? Me recognizing that my wound is about being wrong is rooted in what it's rooted in, right? So somebody else might have their wound rooted in, being humiliated or being misunderstood. Maybe they have a wound around being misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? But it's different means or processes in terms of what you want to do in order to fix that. You know what I'm saying? Because visibility is the willingness of your energy field to fully transmit your authentic signal to the collective. Right? So, and just the more aligned you really just got to be aligned. You really got to get aligned with yourself. The more aligned you are, the stronger your signal. So you got to think about it like that. Think about it like it's a signal being emitted. So when you have wounds and things that are in conflict with what you say you want to do, it's a distorted signal. So therefore, even if you saying you want to do this particular thing, your energy is saying another. You see what I'm saying? Your energy is saying another thing. And if it's saying another thing, you're not really particularly in alignment. This is what happens when people be talking about manifesting don't work, or doing these affirmations and things don't work. It's because you didn't deal with the wound. You got to rewire your nervous system. You have to constantly teach your body that it's safe to be seen. So so I put up a post about celebrating your small wounds. That's one small thing that you can do, that you can begin to incorporate. Because when you celebrate your small wound or small victories, right, or your small wins, that's you telling your body, you're telling yourself that it's safe. Hey, I did this and this worked out and this happened, nothing bad happened. It's safe. You have to constantly tell yourself or reiterate to yourself that it's safe, And it's also, so it's different methods of doing it. There's reparenting. People talk about the reparenting or parenting your inner child. There's journaling that you can do to begin to activate the reflection. Journaling is only going to start the process. You're not going to get through it all just journaling. So I don't want you to think that journaling is solely the answer. It's not. But it is good to start the process and to get the process going. You see? So, and we could talk about this in reference to the chakras, all of that. Our wounds begin in our youth, even our youth of ethereal growth. Yes, very true. Individual course to flow upon. Alignment is the key. Speaking to yourselves. Yep, speaking to yourself. Absolutely. Very, very true. How do we incorporate our birth chart and the communication style and how we show up as our rising in 10th house placement center? Ooh, man, that's such a powerful question. Thank you for asking that. As a person who utilizes astrology, for me, because astrology takes understanding energy to the next level, for me, it helped me to understand it, because when you get to talking about, okay, and I'm glad that you said this, showing up as our rising in 10th house placement. Very specifically, the 10th house placement, because when you talk about the 10th house placement, you're dealing with your MC. Now, if you talk about the MC, you got to talk about the IC, right? So the MC is the highest point in the chart, and the IC is the lowest point in the chart. So MC is like your public, what you do in the public, right? This is how I view it. It's like your public house, or it's like your earned authority house. So this is where your authority rests. It's the peak, highest point on your chart. Your IC is opposite that, which is your lowest point of your chart. It's your wound that you have to live through that gave you that earned authority that you got in that 10th house. So I have my method of interpreting the chart and interpreting energy to understand it and how it can show up. But it just kind of boils down to how you understand the chart and how you understand energy. But you can look at the MC and the IC and you can tell. Take, for example, now look, I don't usually do this, but I'm going to use my chart as an example. Okay? My MC is Sagittarius. If you know astrology, there's a lot of content and what I make now should make a lot of sense to you, right? It should make a lot of sense because that means I have Sagittarius. So for me, you got to remember that 10th house is authority. So for me, I have to definitively, how do I understand? How do I break this shit down? Because the IC is Gemini. For years, I couldn't understand why I kept beefing with Gemini energy. I was like, what is it about Gemini energy? It's also where my Chiron is at, right? But it's Gemini. So learning and information, right? Versus Sagittarius is, how can I say this shit? Okay. So Gemini is like learning the data, learning the information. Sagittarius is like the whole system. So what I realized is, in order for me to be in my authority, I have to come out of the learning phase. So I can't learn in public. Like, I can't be unsure in public. Like, damn, how can I explain this, man? In a way that y'all will get it. Is okay. Yo, I see breaks down what you gotta go through, your experience you gotta live through. So I got a Gemini Chiron. So we talking about communication, we talking about mental aptitude, we talking about the mind, we talking about awareness. So with that being my IC, with that being my Chiron, that means I grew up around a lot of mental noise. That means that I dealt with a lot of conflicting messages, right? That means that I dealt with inconsistent truths, right? That means that I may not have been heard. I might have been talked at. I could have had to adapt and become mentally alert in order to survive my environment. Okay? Now, that produces difficulty trusting one truth, right? So, see the Gemini energy. and how it has to transition into that Sagittarius energy. So if I have a difficulty trusting one truth, how do I not learn? How do I not learn out in public? Right? How do I establish what I am in the public? I didn't get this at first. You see what I'm saying? I didn't understand. So for a lot of my younger years, while I was still researching, still learning, still trying to figure it out, a lot of things didn't work out until I truly established what I truly wanted to stand on and know. Even if it was as simple, I had to break everything down to the simplest of terms for me to stand on and build off of. And it was basically just everything boils down to knowledge of self. So I had to build everything that I stood on just based off of that. But I had to learn what my truth was to stand on first. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's about the Chiron. I mentioned Chiron because that's where my Chiron is also. You know, my Chiron and my IC is like right there together. So I'm trying to provide context around how to read the chart into understanding what it's trying to tell you, you know, about certain particular wounds. Now, this is something that I do. If this is something that you want to do one-on-one, then DM me and we can talk about it and I can tell you how to go about doing it. But it's a whole separate, different conversation. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot different. Sagittarius are more flight people. They here today, and if spontaneity hits, they gone. They are, and that is a strong similarity to Gemini. Gemini could be the same way, you know. So there is a lot of similarities between the two, you know, for sure. But that was just me trying to utilize that to kind of explain it, and I hope that provided some context to your question. You know what I'm saying? I hope that it, you know, provide a sense of context. But there's one other thing that I want to get into before we do wrap up this live, right? And it's important, so I want to make sure that I talk on this before I end the live. And that's invisibility in terms of shame and obedience. And energetically, trauma doesn't live in our memory. It lives as codes in our energy field. So when I say codes, like an invisibility code is like, if they don't see me, then they won't hurt me. So these are people who tend to hide, who tend to shrink themselves. There's a mute code, right? Where if I don't speak, I won't be shamed. I won't be punished, right? So these are people who lost their voice, who gave up their voice. Maybe they grew up in environments and they observed who was able to speak, who wasn't, who was shunned for what they said, etc., etc. There's an obedience code, right? That's if I don't outshine anybody or if I don't do too much, then I'll be accepted, right? There's the guilt code. If I succeed, I might betray where I come from. This is how people get that survivor's guilt, you know, remorse, that survivor's remorse, all type of things. These codes, if you want to say, right, they're like programs. They're like spells. Okay, so depending on where you comfortable is the word you're going to use. If you know, you might look at it like a spell. You might look at it like a program. You might look at it like a wound. Either way it go, same shit, different verbiage, okay? They bend your choices so that no matter what strategy you trying, no matter what you're trying to do to overcome it, you still unconsciously miss opportunities. You still dim your voice. You still dim your light. You still shrink yourself. You still sabotage your momentum. You still pick audiences that don't match you. You still call in people who not gonna fully see you. And all of this is because of those wounds, right? So when you're doing visibility work, you're doing energy work, you're code breaking, okay? You're rewiring the program, or you are becoming the programmer or the operator to create a new program, okay? So understand psychology and energy really are two languages of the same truth. So I'm always bouncing between to show you the connection. I do this shit on purpose. I'm not doing it to lose an audience or to gain a different audience. I do it because it's all the same shit. If you just studied, you will see that it's all the same. The shit all goes together. They just use different words to talk about the same thing. So psychologically, if we address it, that just means you got an internalized critic. You got unresolved shame. You got attachment wounds. You have a dysregulated nervous system that's has a problem with being witnessed. But if we talk about this from an energy level, right, then a person might say, well, your energy field is carrying suppression. You know, if we talk about it from an occult level, you know, there are ancestral sigils or ancestral vows or maybe fear imprints that short circuiting your solar plexus. So your solar plexus is short circuiting, so you can't express yourself and fully step into the collective. Look, all that shit is the same thing. Okay? It's all the same thing. You're describing freezing on camera, having chronic self-doubt and imposter syndrome. You describing being loud online but not feeling seen. All of it is the same thing. So what you gotta do is address these things on different layers. Okay, you gotta stop trying to fix your marketing, and you gotta start recalibrating your entire system so that you can be able to hold the success. You doing all this and you can't hold the success. It's like going to ask for water. Matter of fact, it's like going to a waterfall to get water and you don't have no cup. That's what it's like. That's what it's like. Because the results, the success is there. It's there. It's just that it's like you don't have a cup to hold it. You can't contain it. So no matter how much water that you put in your hand, it's going to fall out of your hand. Because you're not dealing with the root issue. You have to deal with the root issue. You have to deal with it. So if we put it simply, when we talking about visibility, psychologically, visibility is simply your capacity to stay present, to stay grounded and authentic while you are being held in other people's perception. Okay? While you are being judged by other people. Even if they misunderstanding you, even if no matter what they feeling, how capable are you to stay yourself in that situation? That's what visibility is. And if you can't do it, it's because you have a visibility wound. It's because being seen wasn't safe for you, and that trauma is still with you. That's why even though you know you got to be consistent, you can't bring yourself to be consistent. This is why. Because it's stored in you. It's almost like you can't make the most. You can't do it because it's in your body. Get what I'm saying? Yes, I do plan to save this life. Yes, I do. So, energetically, man, visibility is about your energy field being able or having the willingness to radiate your true frequency, to not go away from who you truly are when you around other people, when you dealing with the collective. So when those two things line up, your nervous system and your aura, which is basically what? It's just mind, body, spirit. Again, it's just being aligned. This is manifestation. This shit don't work without being in alignment. The universe rewards alignment. That's what it is. It ain't about if you're doing this right, if you good or bad. It ain't about none of that. It's not about none of that. This is how you naturally become a signal that the world can feel. But you gotta be real. You gotta be real first. You gotta want to be real more than you want to be anything else. More than you want to be understood. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a lot. That shit is scary. It's scary. You know? So when you see me talking about this visibility code, that's what that is. It's a metaphysical, psychological, and energetic initiation into what it actually takes to be seen. Not as a performer, not as a persona, but as your fully expressed self. This ain't no branding class. This ain't no social media content creating class. This is not about here's how you make more content. Here's how you go viral. It ain't none of that shit. This is about identity, your nervous system, and your aura. Can you hold visibility without collapsing, without shrinking, without sabotaging yourself? This is not a mindset class. This is an identity, a shadow and nervous system recalibration. That's what this is. Because you have to do the work. You done did enough affirmations. You've been doing affirmations. You've done enough of that shit. This is the part that's missing. This is the part that's missing. So understand, visibility triggers your survival. It's going to trigger your survival. So when you, we got any questions? Be sure to come back and revisit the live. I do plan to save it and to share it. I do plan to save this live. So, this is why I've been pushing this so much. Because there's so many things that we aren't addressing if we truly are trying to do the work. We can't just be performative, man. The meditations and just the go-to spiritual things that we say, that we do, that shit is performance most of the time. You gotta do the real work. You gotta do the real work. The Chiron is the wound that we have around our identities. Yes, it's also insight into, because of your wound, more specifically, it has to do with the wound that you utilize to be a healer. So it's more than just the wound around our identities. Is more than that. Yeah. So, you gotta think about mythologically, Chiron. Think about the story of Chiron. So a lot of that plays a role. This is why we have the myths. My ear itching, y'all. Allergies. Woo. So, and to put it deeper, it's like a soul wound on top of it. It's a soul wound. All right. So I don't really want to say identity, because that can get tricky when you get to talking about identity. Identity can have a relation to ego, it's more specifically soul wound, but it's in a way that it does shape your identity. So, whatever you feel in yourself where it gives you that something is wrong with me, that's usually that Chiron. That's usually the sense of Chiron. It's where we're most sensitive. It's where, it's a wound that doesn't go away. And again, it's because that very wound is what activates your healing for others. Because, mind you, the Chiron is the wounded healer. So Chiron creates a paradox. So the very place that you feel inadequate or exposed or different becomes the very place that you can guide others without even trying. That's the thing about it. So it's like the thing that hurts you the most is how you can help people the most. As weird as that is. So you don't heal the Chiron by fixing it. You heal it by understanding it and living with it. It's like how she said on Doctor Strange. We never get rid of our demons. We simply learn to live above them. It's just like that. It's just like that. So where your Chiron is in your chart is where you might have learned self-protection very early, or where you might have felt exposed, or where shame or insecurity or self-doubt may be. This is how you get insight into those type of things. Yeah. So, if you want to know more about dealing with this visibility code of having a visibility wound, right? Working through that, check the link in my bio. Just check the link in my bio. And that will provide you with more context and information. And from there, if you have more, you can always DM me, shoot me a message to let me know if you have any additional questions. But before we wrap this live, you got any more questions? A podcast? Not currently. But I do have a YouTube. You can check out my YouTube. I'm Cosmic Paradox on YouTube as well. Same avatar that you see for my Instagram. Peace to you. Wisdomology. So yeah, feel free to check out my YouTube. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Hop on the live, shoot a question. If you got a question about anything. But I really wanted to have this question. I do still have the Patreon. We haven't done a watch party this year as of yet. We won't start the watch parties back up until March. So once March comes, we'll do the watch parties. But I do still have the Patreon. Now on the Patreon, for those of you who are interested, if you're in a position where you're already researching, learning, you're on the path, the Patreon provides tools for you to further along in that, worksheets, different activities, tools, and things like that you can use for your shadow work journey, that you can, utilize in terms of doing your own work. If it's something that you rather do yourself and just like to, have a little bit of outside little help with it, then the Patreon is suitable for that. So yeah, but the visibility code, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm primarily saying to go get. Go enroll in the visibility code. Go do that. Yep. So, all right. It's been a pleasure speaking with y'all. I guess I'll get with y'all later in this week. But be sure to turn your notifications on so that you can catch me the next time I go live. And I look forward to having deeper and more conversations with you guys the next time. So until then, peace.